We've got with us two gentlemen that are very much involved with this race car and its on-track performance. Gene Stephanician is our Vice President of Innovation and Racing Development. Robin Pemberton is our Vice President of Competition. And this time I'll ask Gene maybe just kind of give an overview of the test, what we hope to accomplish, and then I'll ask Robin maybe something about the car and its racing performance to date. Go ahead, Gene.
Yeah, we've got our car out there today. We've got two of each make, two Chevys, two Fords, Toyotas, and our objective here is to begin to shake down some potential changes for the 2014 season. This should be viewed as kind of an annual event. We'll be doing this on an ongoing basis with an eye to continue to improve our product on the track. It's really an exercise in continuous improvement. All good companies, all good organizations always look at themselves, how they're doing things, and try to improve. So that's basically the journey we're on today. I don't want people to think this is some special, super ordinary event. It'll just be part of our standardized work. I can tell you that our focus today is all around the area of aerodynamics. We do have 7 specific changes we're trying. They've been bundled into 3 configurations, and they're all within a to try to work in the aerodynamics of the car. Thus far, the Gen 6 car has been very well received by the fans in that the car is similar to those in the showroom that are being sold. So that's been a very, very good thing. And the drivers have been telling us they're very comfortable cars to drive. So, but we went around, asked everybody as we get ready for 14, what are some of the things that we can be working on, and so here we are. And it's a complex problem. We do a lot of our work in math-based analytical tools such as CFD, or computational fluid dynamics. We can put 1 car, 2 cars in there. So we do the theoretical piece. We also go into the wind tunnel and do some theoretical piece. We bring that theory together, and then we involve all our partners. And our partners here are the manufacturers, the 3 manufacturers. We've talked to 6 drivers, and we've talked to 10 teams. And with everybody's ideas, we put them all together, sorted through them, and came up with these configurations to test. So really, they are our ideas as an industry on how we can improve the product on the track. So and now, what happens after we've gone through the theory and gone through the experience of everybody, now we actually put it in the track and try it in the track, because there are no wind tunnels in the world where you can put 6 cars in or 10 cars in, and in CFD, you're generally working with 1 or 2 cars. So we really do need to put real-world testing into part of our solution set. So that's basically what we're doing here today.
Thank you, Gene. And Robin, we're on the back end for sure of a very exciting 2013 season in the NASCAR Sprint Cup Series. 5 to go in the chase, and this new race car is not so new anymore, but certainly a lot of work and effort went into developing it. Maybe just talk a little bit about a couple of things. Maybe how you think the car has performed thus far, and then coming out of here today, maybe some things that we hope to accomplish as well, as Gene mentioned previously.
Yeah, I think we've had a pretty successful year with a new car, and it was a big undertaking on our part, the manufacturers and the teams. As everyone knows, we did unbelievable amount of miles last year testing many different configurations, and our goal was to hand a product off to the teams better than the one that they had ended the 2012 season with. We feel like we achieved that goal. We feel like the cars performed well. The drivers like the way that the car drives, and so for that standpoint, it was a successful year. And when you look at some of the things early on in the year, and what we had said, that we would always continue to evaluate our competition, and with the restructure in NASCAR, and with adding Gene to take charge of the R&D center, this is one of those programs that's coming together to have guys working their normal work week to to add to the competition side to make competition better moving forward. So we're looking forward to a good test here, and a lot of good ideas that are out there from everyone in the industry. And we feel like moving forward, we'll have a better opportunity for next year for even better racing.
Okay, guys, thank you. We've got a few minutes here. We'll take a few questions. If you have a question for Gene and Robin, raise your hand. Looks like we've got several. Let's go with Reed, and over here to Bob and Alan.
Reed Spencer with the NASCAR Wire Service. Gene, could you elaborate a little bit more about how the packages and the configurations are put together today? I mean, I assume we're working with spoilers and things like that, among other things. And will this lead to further testing throughout the course of the remainder of the year as you narrow down some of the changes that might go into effect for 2014?
Yeah, as I indicated earlier, the changes are all essentially aimed at aerodynamics. Some of those manifest themselves in some chassis changes to bring more stability to the car. Our intent here is to walk through this, learn as much as we can. I'm sure everything we try will not be successful, but as part of the learning process, we're learning things work and don't work. Those that work will find their way into the 14 rule package, and those that we need to do more work on will probably begin into the 15 package. At the moment, our plan is not to do any more with this. Now, depending on what we learn today, we may rejiggle that plan, but as we sit here right now, the plan is we're going to get through this and be able to do the work we need to do, and then start turning our eye to what the 15 package is.
Okay, we'll go with Bob Pockrass, Alan Cabana, and Kenny Bruce.
Bob Pockrass, Ford News. This is kind of like the first big test where kind of your departments are kind of split, or Gene, that your department really is kind of first maybe public showing of what you're doing. Can you kind of describe what your group does and maybe the benefits of, or what you hope are the benefits that now that the kind of car building process is under your group?
I would start by saying that Robin and I are joined at the hip. He lives out at the track every day, and he understands, he's got the voice of what's happening out there every day in the track. I try to get out the track, but I can't make it every time. I need to spend some of my time back at the R&D center working on some of these solutions. Robin and I talk almost daily about these things. What are you hearing out there? And they're giving me input. So really we had a situation where it was tough for guys who are on the road every weekend to have enough time to dedicate to really sit down and think about what we should be doing in the car, working in the car. So this is just, this is things we talked about in July when we did our last press conference. It's about trying to work more efficiently, finding things we want to improve on, being able to put plans together and then drive those plans and try to get some things done. So that's the whole, this is, we work together, we have to work together because we're working with things that are somewhat theoretical, can be analytical, but as you know, you've got to also plug in what happens in the real world. So it's a combination here and that's the way we're working it.
Let's go to Alan Cabana, Kenny Bruce, Dustin Long.
Alan Cabana, NASCAR.com. When it comes to the need for changes, what kind of stuff do you guys look at in terms of citing that need? Like, do you look at passing numbers and you'd like to get those higher, so let's change up some stuff? Do you have fan feedback about single file racing? What kind of stuff are you looking at when it comes to looking at the need to change things?
Well, we're fortunate and we have a wide array of data and information. We collect this out of our timing scoring system, so we can get a lot of metrics on what's happening on the race, on the course. We also are fortunate, and we have our fan engagement center who measures fan action score. These are scores that NASCAR, the television watchers watch the races and give us feedback on what those are. So we have multiple inputs. We have inputs from the fan action center. We have input from the drivers. We have input from scoring and timing. It's a matter of bringing this all together, triangulating it, and looking for where the improvements are. So, and sometimes, of course, they align and you know you're on the right track. Other times they just all point in other directions and you scratch your head. But that's part of what working with this type of stuff is. And you know, a lot of times when you do this kind of testing, these are very complex problems because we have 6 cars and they're all running around in dirty air. And a lot of the tools, theoretical tools that exist, they're just tools that are 1 or 2 cars. So we need to do this kind of stuff. But we try to glean as much information as we can from drivers, from the guys working on the cars, whether they're crew chiefs, and then also pull out more, what you call it, sort of subjective, more quantitative data out of our timing loops and all that. So we will look at passes per green lap, we'll look at average lap times, we'll look at number of laps led. There's a whole bunch of things we will look at.
Go with Kenny, Dustin, and then Claire.
Kenny Bruce with NASCAR.com. For Gene, the changes and packages that you guys are looking at here, are they specific to 1.5-mile tracks? Would something that you guys determined here today be applicable at a smaller track or at a bigger track? And would you guys look at going to other tracks, or tracks of other sizes to test these?
Yeah, you're correct. I would say our focus is intermediate tracks. However, some of these learnings, we will, if they make sense, we can apply to other tracks. But that way, I would say that is currently our focus. I mean, it's 50% of our products, so we're looking at that first. And then, of course, if there's anything, when we step back, we determine the packages, we'll ask, okay, now, does this make sense for any of our other, does it make sense for road courses, does it make sense for a super speedway, you know, that type of thing. But that is the next step. So, and, you know, we will continue to look at each of these formats and determine there's work to do in each of them. So and we have to look at the metrics out of each of those venues and what they're telling us. But, yeah, mostly intermediate track is the focus today.
All right, let's go with Dustin, Claire B. Lang, Stan Creekmore.
Dustin, Long Motor Racing Network. I'm assuming this is probably for Gene or Rod. How do you determine that a change you use today is working and should be implemented for 2014? And also right now, you've just been basically hearing 1 car around the track. I'm sure that's just baselining at this point. Is the plan to get all 6 cars out there together and kind of run like it was a mini race like what you guys did, I think like December or January?
Yeah, right now we are having 1 car on the track. We got a late start today because of the weather, obviously, but in 16 minutes they're going to go in and dial in configuration 1, feel comfortable with it, and then we're going to send all the cars out at once. So we've not reached that point yet, but that you will see all the cars out there on the track at the appropriate time.
So how do you determine what's working? I mean,
Well, it's a combination of things. We'll be looking at, we're videoing everything, so we've got the video. We'll be talking to the drivers and crew chiefs, collecting their information, their thoughts. We've got scoring and timing data hooked up that we're collecting. And then at the end of it, the teams are going to give us their information from their cars and their thumb drives. So those 4 sources, some being very kind of hard-based quantitative data and some subjective, we hope to get an idea of which direction to go.
And what is it? And I'm sure this is probably too simplistic. When you talk about timing and scoring, is in essence slow or better? Is that one thing you're looking at? Is that something we kind of hear from time to time? Is that something that would work in this situation, or is that too simplistic?
Well, it could be. So we're, you know, I'm not presuming I know the answer. We have some theories, and we will learn from this information. We're seeking the truth. So, I mean, we've heard some people say you need to go faster. We heard some people say you need to go slower. I mean, if you listen to everybody, you can basically, you're going a lot of directions. So we try to find the centroid of the opinion, and then we also try to look for data and marry the 2 up. And it's never going to be 100% perfect, but we do the best we can with it.
Go to Claire B. Stan Creekmore.
Claire B. Lang, Sirius XM NASCAR Radio. How much of this is just, you know, sort of far out stuff that you're testing, and what percentage of it might be something that you actually think that you're going to do and you need to find out the best way to do it?
I think everything we were testing today, that was, when we sat down, we said, all the stuff we're going to test has to be able to be implemented for next year's race season. So nothing there is that far out. It's just a matter of whether it makes sense. And that the data and the information will drive what we put into the car. We're testing 7 different things, but all 7 of those can be put into the race season next year. We have other things we're looking at. Those we're not testing today, and those we'll have to find into other testing regimes as we go forward, because they are longer lead nature and require more time and more thought to make sure we're precisely doing the right thing. So today, if all this stuff works, it can all make it in. I don't think it's all going to work, but you know, that's the way these things, complex engineering problems are.
And Robin, if and how so are you testing the height inspection side of what you're thinking you might implement so that, you know, the height restrictions at the end of the race?
Yeah, really, the whole chassis height thing is an aerodynamic issue, we think. We will find that out. We tend to have, with the height rules today, we tend to have fairly soft springs in the front. So we're thinking that perhaps we're not giving as much stability to the car, particularly the follower. There's micro movements because of track surface, and there's macro movements because of dirty air. So what we're trying to do is to statically set the car race height and give the car more stability, which should be a fairly big benefit for the follower. It should help the leader, but not as much because he's running in clean air. So that's the whole chassis thing is really an aerodynamic thing we're trying to get at.
Yeah, to elaborate on that, that's the ride height. We touched on that last summer a little bit. We ran it here in December, and a couple guys tried it, and so that's one of those things that showed promise, but the timing was wrong because introducing the Gen 6 car, and to Gene's point, the things that we run today, I believe that if something doesn't make the cut for next year, doesn't mean that that particular item doesn't deserve a better look and makes the cut for the year after. So, you know, that's kind of how things go. A lot of times you don't pile it all on at one time.
We'll go to Stan, Nate, Ryan, Lee, Spencer.
Stan Creekmore with RPMtonight.com over in the corner over here, guys. Robin, I think the question is directed at you, to be honest. In speaking with some of the teams and some of the other folks in the garage, the process here could result in a reduction of inspection that actually occurs at the racetrack on a week-to-week basis. Is that correct? And if so, how will the inspection process change?
That's a whole other set of issues and conversations, but I can't say that we would inspect less. I can say that we are looking at things on another program about streamlining that process moving forward, but that's a much bigger picture and really doesn't have anything to do with today's test. The ride heights might be something that at some point during the weekend, you wouldn't have to inspect for that, but it would generate another inspection process that would have to take place in order to make sure the cars are correct. So at this point, there's really not a good answer for that.
All right, thank you.
Two more questions, Nate, and then with Lee.
Nate Bryan, USA Today Sports. I guess for both of you guys, one on the minimum height, like eliminating the minimum height rules. Would that incur much in terms of cost for teams, in terms of having to change the springs or whatever? And then for Gene, could you touch on it? Are there any plans for, I know Brian France talked last year about digital stuff in the cockpits as early as next season. Is that still for 2015 at this point, or do you think that can happen in 2014?
Two questions. The first one in regards to the chassis. If in the event that our assumptions and our hypotheses are correct today, and we do go that way, our objective will be to make sure we get with the teams and come up with a solution that we're not looking to spend millions and millions and millions of dollars here. We already looked at this a bit, and we think this can be accomplished in a very cost-efficient way, so we don't tear up the cars. So again, it's just it's a pragmatic way of solving solutions. Get the biggest benefit for the least amount of resources. It's you know, that's what we're trying to do here. So and we've kind of looked at it as we embarked on this to make sure that we were not barking up a tree that was going to be, you know, a multi-million-dollar issue for the teams. Yeah, so that's what the way we're handling it. Sorry, what was your second question? That was the
Digital stuff for...
Oh, the digital stuff. We are looking at that. I think you should see some of that stuff coming. It may not be as early as next year, but we are looking at that fully and trying to make sure The strategy we put together is not a piecemeal strategy that will then be very costly and complex. So what we need to do is build the vision of where we want to be and then figure out a way how we can step our way into that vision. So we do it in a very logical, pragmatic way. And taking it a piecemeal approach, we could end up buying lots of bits of hardware and redoing software and all that kind of stuff. So we like to do it, and this is where we are. This is where we want to get to. And it's going to take 4 or 5 steps to achieve that vision. So you will see them roll out, but it'll be probably in light of a larger strategy that we're trying to accomplish.
Final question.
Spencer, Fox Sports. I'm just curious, Gene, the other day I was trying to figure out how all you guys were going to put this together, what specifically you're looking for. And I'd kind of like to know, what your background is coming into this. I apologize, I missed that New Hampshire presser the day after New Hampshire, and, just kind of what your philosophy is in trying to get this up to speed as quickly as possible. I mean, I know Robin's background. I knew Robin when he was at Bridgie, so kind of want to figure out, where you're coming from, what your approach is, and, how you think you can really spruce up the competition part.
Well, okay, that's a long question. I come from the auto business. I was in the auto business for 35 years. I've been in manufacturing, in planning, in finance, in vehicle engineering, in powertrain engineering. I've lived in, 6 countries around the world in various operations. I think in my last 15 years, I put like 15 cars in a row. I did the Camaro, I did some of the Corvettes, I did there's the G6, the G8, several cars. So I think I do have a fairly strong background in cars and manufacturing cars and vehicles. Like tinkering on them, I've restored my own cars. Now, for me to say I am as smart about race cars as some of these guys have been out there 35 or 40 years, I would just be outright lying to you. That's not true. But I do understand cars. I have engineering skills. I've seen a lot of things in my experience working in different organizations. So I think what I bring to that is that kind of discipline and engineering bent to solving problems. And I also do it in a way, in a collaborative manner, involving all people involved, because this is where you get the multiplying people's intelligence and their ideas. You can sit for 10 hours solving something. The first 2 hours you make a progress, the last 8 hours you're basically not going to get much of a gain. As soon as you engage other people, you take another huge ramp in knowledge. So for us, multiplying and collaborating with our partners is absolutely key and fundamental to what I do. I found that's what works. I mean, putting a car in a row, dealing with all the different functions, whether it be manufacturing, finance, all that kind of thing, the way you do it is you get people together, and when you get them originally together, they're after their own, taking care of their own house, and sometimes they don't have the broader view. So that's my objective. Bring people together. Let's tap into their knowledge. Let them contribute. Let them feel like they're part of the solution, right? And so that's kind of what I'm thinking.
Where do you see we can take this, though? I mean, some people would say that, like Robin said, people are happy with the cars, but Saturday night until we got the very beginning, the guys were up on the wheel. They could get really racy. At the end, it got really racy. There was that huge chunk in between there. We're kind of waiting for something that happened. I mean, what is the objective? To get the cars closer together? To get, just to make more guys, to have that top 35 even closer than it is right now? I mean, what's the end game for you, I guess?
Well, the end game is to continue to improve our sport and the competition on the track so that fans can appreciate and enjoy it. That's the ultimate goal. It's really not about me, it's not about us, it's about our customers, and our customers are fans. And we all contribute to that, whether it's NASCAR, whether it's the teams, the drivers, the owners, all those, the engine builders, all of us need to begin to look at it in that regard, and that's where we're going to focus to try to improve the racing product on the track.